Welcome to Free Media. I'm Amber Duke.
And I'm Robby Soave. Well, CNN's veteran star anchor Jim Acosta announced he is leaving his job at that network. Let's watch his announcement.
All of this, some careful consideration and weighing an alternative time slot CNN offered me, I've decided to move on. I am grateful to CNN for the nearly 18 years I've spent here doing the news. People often ask me if the highlight of my career at CNN was at the White House covering Donald Trump. Actually, no. That moment came here when I covered former President Barack Obama's trip to Cuba in 2016 and had the chance to question the dictator there, Raul Castro, about the island's political prisoners. As the son of a Cuban refugee, I took home this lesson. It is never a good time to bow down to a tyrant. I've always believed it's the job of the press to hold power to account. I've always tried to do that here at CNN, and I plan on doing all of that in the future. One final message. Don't give in to the lies. Don't give in to the fear. Hold on to the truth and to hope.
Amber, did this fill your heart with glee?
What a touching moment. He also told people to make sure that they actually record themselves saying that message and then posting it on their social media. Sanctimonious till the very end. But there's a couple of interesting things here that I would note, one of which is that he was apparently not invited by CNN to go back and cover the Trump White House again. Instead, they're going to have Caitlin Collins in that role. There were some other outlets that brought back senior White House correspondents to cover the Trump admin again, but clearly CNN decided that he's no longer good for business. And the alternative time slot that he was offered, he's currently in the 10 a.m. slot. They offered him midnight, which is as close to firing as you can get. I love that he clarified in his little goodbye message. We talked about other time slots and I turned it down, as if it's like a you can't fire me, I quit kind of situation. Yeah. But they were clearly trying to sideline him as much as possible.
Yeah, I mean, giving you midnight is a way of making you quit, right?
Correct.
I mean, who wants to do that? There's very few people watching CNN anyway. Who's watching at midnight? That's ludicrous. Yeah, there's a level of just grandstanding and self-importance to him I've always found obnoxious. And I'm someone who absolutely thinks that Trump or whoever the president is should face aggressive, even hostile questioning from mainstream media figures. My criticism is not that. It's that when Joe Biden was the president, the hostile questioning just fell off. Or in fact, then when Joe Biden didn't make himself available to the media whatsoever, they barely even complained about that, allowing for this great cover-up of one of the most important political stories of the last decade, in that the president was possibly barely capable of even doing the job. So the aggressive questioning should remain. The problem with Acosta, in my view, is that he was always like making himself the story in those couple times he traded barbs with Trump. And again, I don't have a like boo-hoo Trump's feelings. No, he gets aggressive questions too. It's fine, that's fine. But Acosta had a way of doing like fighting for the mic and making it, again, everybody's asking the same question. And he is almost like trampling over the rights of the other people in the press briefing room to ask those questions. And then, you know, in his remarks, we didn't play that part, he talks about Joe Biden's message that press freedom is waning. And I think it's just so weird to cite that. Like, I think on like one of the last days of Biden's presidency, they were literally dragging out the pro-Gaza or pro-Palestinian question people from the briefing room.
Yeah.
Like the guy was holding on
at
the
the
table.
State Department, yeah.
Yeah, at the State Department briefing. So it's like, okay, yeah, the Biden administration really all about those press norms. And in those same remarks, Biden was, again, attacking Zuckerberg for getting rid of the fact checkers. So to cite that as like, oh, this is a president who stands up for the free press is just totally tone deaf.
No, our White House correspondent asked the White House press team under Biden once if Biden was going to gaggle, and their answer was, and I quote, "Will the president gaggle? The answer is almost always no." So that kind of tells you everything you need to know about press access under the Biden administration. But it is indeed the self-importance and the sort of narcissism of Jim Acosta that was particularly bothersome during the Trump admin. He was always looking for his soundbite, for his gotcha moment. It was never a question intended to actually hold power to account or even to elicit information for the American people. It was so that he could look good on camera, and then he would go on CNN for his hit after the press briefing and talk about what an amazing job he did. And he got a, six-figure book deal out of his time at the White House, ended up with this nice, cozy CNN TV show. So this was a way for him to get famous, and with the turnover in leadership at CNN, they're obviously planning on covering the Trump White House in a slightly different way than they did the first time around because they lost so many viewers due to a lack of trust.
Yes, although I think it's certainly an open question whether that change in strategy or that pivot will actually work for their business model. I mean, I believe in you succeed generally in media by providing commentary or content that your existing readers, subscribers, viewers want to engage with. It's always nice to go after a new audience, but if the people currently who like you, they got to be happy with the product. So, for better or worse, if the people whoever it is who are still watching CNN really tune in for the kind of Acosta level hair on fire screaming about what Trump's doing, pivoting away from that, I think is just going to piss them off, and without attracting new viewers. Their idea is that they can pivot to there's some center, there's some people who are still hungering for just down the line, give it to me straight, Doc, kind of news commentary. And I actually find that kind of suspect these days. I think people hunger for real arguments and debates and different perspectives. And CNN does do more of this lately that I've noticed, to their credit. They have Scott Jennings on doing a great job, and I'm sure Michael Singleton and other conservatives offering perspectives. And you see them sitting across from each other at tables, the conservatives and the liberals, and discussing and debating. And I think that's a good idea, just having everything kind of, not too anti-Trump, please, but not too pro-Trump, just kind of boring. Well, who's watching that?
Yeah, that's tough. And I think the fundamental problem with CNN is that they tried to lean so hard into the resist Trump crowd, which was already cornered on the market by MSNBC.
Yeah.
So that's why their numbers fell so precipitously, because they were trying to compete with a business model that had already sort of perfected that perspective on the news. And so they lost all of the super hard liberal people to MSNBC. They lost the people who maybe tuned into CNN because they wanted a more center or even center-left alternative to Fox News, to right-wing or independent media. And who was left to actually watch CNN? Well, not very many people, according to the ratings over the past few years.
Right. If you want, I think there may be the preferred TV news site for breaking coverage of like wars or natural disasters or something. They gotta hope those things are occurring, but even there, they're competing with the other TV channels too. More free media right after this. Stay tuned.